remember in section 5.5, we're talking about z-scores. Important formula we need to know. Let's get to the end here. Is the z-score formula, which is this one right here. So they're saying the z-score is equal to the value subtract the average divided by the standard deviation. So if you have these values, you'll be able to find the z-score. The z-score indicates the number of standard deviations that a data value lies from the mean. So if you're looking for the z-score, you're finding the value, how far you are from the average. Okay, so we're going to look at example 1. And these pages I've copied out of my book. They are on page 592 and 593. So they're pages you're going to need to use if you're using the z-score. So in your textbook, you'll see those pages. So example 1. We have, it says, Haley and Serge belong to a running club in Vancouver. Part of their training involved a 200-meter sprint. Below are normal distributed times for the 200 in Vancouver, and on a recent trip to Lake Louise at higher altitudes, run times improved. Okay, so these are the club times. This is the standard deviation, and these are Haley's times. Okay, so the question says, determine at which location Haley's run time was better when compared with the club results. So if we're doing this question, we need to use the z-score formula. Okay, so we're going to take, what's it equals? We're going to take the value, which is Haley's run time. So it is 24.95. We're going to subtract it from the average, which is the club average, 25.75. And so right now we're just doing, this is the Vancouver example, okay? And we have to divide by the standard deviation, which is 0.62. Okay, so if you go to 24.95, subtract 25.75, divided by 0.2, you will get negative 1.29. Okay, and so if we were going to do the Lake Louise example, her run time was 24.95. The club time was 25.57, so that was the average, and the standard deviation was 0.6. So if we go 24.95, subtract 25.57, divide by 0.6, you'll get negative 1.333. So the negative is representing that she was lower than the average time, so she was better than the time set by her club. And if we were showing this on just a little bell curve, these times, this one would fall somewhere in here, negative 1.29. The other one would be just slightly farther than it, which is negative 1.33. So looking at that, Lake Louise is the better time because it's farther, a better time away from the average. Okay? So this time, since it's, say this is the average, it's farther than the average or the group club time, so then that is her better score. Okay, example 2 says IQ tests are sometimes used to measure a person's intellectual capacity at a particular time. IQ scores are normally distributed with a mean of 100 and a standard deviation of 15. If a person scores 119 on an IQ test, how does the score compare with the scores of the general population? Okay, so using our z-score formula, our data, subtract our average, divided by the standard deviation. So this would be 119 they got on their IQ test. And on average, people get 100. And the standard deviation is 15. So if we go 119, subtract 100, divided by 15, we get 1.266. So that means he's above the average by 1.266. A z-score of that. And I'll show you how we can find the percent, so what that means in a percent. So this is where we use our pages from our textbook. So what we are going to do is we are going to look, our z-score again, remember, was 1.266, so that's 1.27. So what we're going to do is we're going to look down our page till we get to 1.2, and then we're going to go over until we get to 0.7. And I know that's hard to read on there, but in your textbook, you will be able to see that that value is 0.8980. So we went down 1.2 and over, oh, sorry, I should have done this one, 0.07. And that value, this one right here, is 0.8980. So that means that the person who got 119 is greater than 89.8% of the population. So that means they have a higher IQ or on that test than 89, almost 90% of the population. Okay, and for our last example, example 3 is on page 259, and it says athletes should replace their running shoes before the shoes lose their ability to absorb shock. Running shoes lose their shock absorption after an average or mean distance of 640 kilometers, with a standard deviation of 160 kilometers. Zach is an elite runner and wants to replace his shoes at a distance when only 25% of people would replace their shoes. At what distance should he replace his shoes? So again, we would go back to those tables that I showed you in your textbook, and we would be looking for, in this information, where 25% would show up. So if you notice, 25% shows up at 0.67. Okay, so at negative 0.67, that's where the 25% shows up. So we're going to use that value in our z-score. So our z-score, we just said, was 0.67 with a negative, because that's 25% of the people. And we don't know our x value. We don't know how many kilometers he should change his shoes, but we know on average that they lose their absorption after 640 kilometers with a standard deviation of 160. So this is how we're setting up our formula. So right now this is being divided by 160. So in order to get rid of it, we're going to multiply by 160 on both sides. So this is being undone, and we're left with 160 times a negative 0.67, which is negative 108, approximately. So then if we add 640 to both sides to get x by itself, you will get 532. So this information is telling us Zach should change his running shoes after 532 kilometers have been run.